Welcome everybody. This is session 6 of Uddharet Atmane Atmanam. Transform yourself by yourself based on Bhagavad Gita. So this is session number 6 and the topic is Swadharma, formula for success and contentment. So let us quickly revise. So in the last session, we saw that there are a lot of transformation techniques and we learned few of them in the earlier sessions, but there are very few people who actually practice or implement these techniques. And we saw what Bhagavan Krishna has to say about this. Bhagavan Krishna very clearly states that if you implement these techniques in your life, you practice this, you will be successful in your materialistic pursuits as well as you will progress on your spiritual path. Bhagavan Krishna also highlights what will happen if you don't practice this. So Bhagavan says you will get stuck where you are. There won't be any progress, any transformation in your life. And we saw that these techniques are very simple to understand. We don't have to do anything special. Most techniques involve a change of attitude in the way you carry out your work, the way in which you transact in this world. But still, very, very few people are able to practice or implement these. And we saw some of the reasons as to why majority of people don't practice this. The first reason we discussed was overdose of knowledge. In today's world, acquiring knowledge is very, very easy. You don't have to even move out of your house. Everything is available online. But that is also a problem because people try to acquire all kinds of knowledge without any assimilation, which means contemplating on that knowledge and trying to find out how this applies to my life, how I can implement. There is no thought behind it. People just go and attend the sessions. So one needs to change this. Like right now, the focus is on acquiring the knowledge. That focus also has to include as to how this knowledge can be implemented and then start implementing this. But then there is another problem also. Like over the years, we have developed some habits, some patterns, and these actually shackle us because we do get inspired by these transformation techniques and we try to implement it, but we cannot sustain it for long because our old patterns or habits are so strong that they don't allow us to change our behavior. And some of these patterns become so strong that we almost become like robots or computers, like keep functioning the same way. And that is the reason why majority of people are not able to practice this knowledge. So in the last session, we discussed some of the techniques, and Bhagavan says that the first thought will always be according to the patterns or habits that are inherent in your personality. But then it's only a thought. There is a gap, maybe split seconds, between the thought and action. So we realize that this gap has to be utilized to create a new pattern and break away from the old pattern. And how does one do it? What do you do during this gap? One is change of perception of pleasure and pain. We saw how these patterns are developed, and patterns are nothing but repetitive actions based on our perception of pleasure and pain. So if we have to break away from this habit, we need to change this perception of pleasure and pain. So that was one technique that was discussed. Second was about the goal. If you have a goal, then during this split second of gap, you can remember your goal and then you are able to change the pattern. But this depends on how strongly you feel about the goal, how much you are inspired by this goal. So only if you have a very clear goal and you are really inspired about this goal, then that also will help you in breaking away from these patterns. And one of the things we also discussed was introspection. Like every day before going to bed, run through the sequence of events that happened during the day and just analyze your behavior, judge your behavior as to whether you were able to use the knowledge during this gap. So this was the revision of last session. But one thing that we discussed was about the negative tendencies that we have developed over the years. But it is not only like our life is not only about negative tendency. Our personality is not only about negative tendencies. We also have some of the positive tendencies. And if we use these positive tendencies, then these positive tendencies can leapfrog us and make us successful in this world. So we will see what these positive tendencies are and how to use them so that we are able to achieve success in this world. So, so let me chant this shloka 3.35 from chapter 3, shloka number 35, which talks about these positive tendencies, and that is called Swadharma. So, Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna Paradharmat Swanushtitat Swadharme Nidhanam Shreya Paradharmo Bhayavah. So the meaning is one's own duty, though defective, is superior to another's duty well performed. Death is better while engaged in one's own duty. Another's duty is fraught with fear and danger. So here the word used is dharma, and there are it is used 4 times in this shloka. And another interesting characteristics of this shloka is this first line is repeated as it is in one more shloka of Bhagavad Gita, which is shloka number 47 of chapter 18. And if you look at it, the first line is same. So you can imagine how important this first line is. So let us chant this second shloka also. Shreyan swadharmo viguna paradharmat swanushtitat स्वभावनियतं karma kurvannapnoti kilbisham. First line is obviously same. What second line says is, by performing a duty as dictated by one's own nature, one does not incur sin. So this is about Swadharma, and as I said, this dharma word comes repeatedly. In the first shloka, it is at 4 times. So dharma has different connotations. So what are they? Like when you hear word dharma, the first thing that comes to our mind is its meaning as religion. The second is righteousness, doing something right. It also connotes duty and nature. So for this discussion on Swadharma, we are going to use duty and nature and try to understand what this Swadharma means. So, first let us understand what is meant by dharma as a duty. So, Bhagavan says, okay, let me just, Bhagavan says that one should always adhere to one's own duty. When you say dharma is a duty, that's what it means. So even if you are not perfect in performing your duties, you should always go for your duties and not try to perform somebody else's duty, because another person's duty, if you try to do it, it is fraught with fear and danger. So we are talking about duty. So one needs to know what is duty first of all. So duty comes from role. So while transacting in this world, we play different roles. I'm a father. I'm a son of somebody. I'm brother. When I go to office, like I can be a team member where I am subordinate, or I can be a manager of a team. And in that perspective, my duty is that of a manager. So when I play different roles, the duties also change. And like as I said, like we play different roles. So at different points in time, we may have different duties. And we saw this in Arjuna's case, where when he went into the battlefield, he he saw his guru and he remembered his role as a shishya, that is to protect his teacher. But at the same time, he was a warrior in the battlefield, so his duty was to kill his enemies. And because of this confusion in role, he had a confusion about his duties as well. So, dharma, the duty comes first of all from role, and one needs to be very clear as to what role he is playing at that point in time, and based on that there is his duty that he has to perform. The second thing on which duty depends is life stage. Like we go through different life stages. Like initially it is called brahmacharya ashram, or the life stage, where your primary duty is to acquire the knowledge to transact in this world. Then there is gruhasthashram, where you get into a family, and that time your responsibility is to earn money and also take care of your family. The third stage of life is vanaprasthashram, which means like your children have grown up, so you need to detach from worldly possessions, even worldly responsibilities. So if you are doing a job, then you retire from the job. If you are in a business, then you hand over your business to your children, and you slowly start getting detached from worldly possessions and give those responsibilities to your children. So that is the third stage, vanaprasthashram. And finally, it is sannyasashram, like where you seek the truth. You try to find out what is the purpose of life. So these are four stages, and based on which stage of life you are in, your duties will change. Some duties are situation based, like you are traveling somewhere and you see some accident. So your duty is to help the people who are caught in that accident. Some people might have got injured. So these are duties based on different situations. Then there are some social responsibilities as well. We are part of this society. So, being a member of the society, some duties come to us. Like it is our duty that when we go to public places, we should make sure that public places are clean, they are not littered with garbage. If we see somebody stealing something from someone, it is our duty to catch him and hand him over to the police. But As Bhagavan says, we should not try to perform somebody else's duty. It is our duty to hand over that person to the police, but we cannot like beat him up there, because that is like, when we hand over to police will investigate and decide the punishment for him. We should not get into the role of a police and try to punish that person. And that's what Bhagavan says, like, don't try to get into the duties of other person. It is fearful as well as it is dangerous. And this was also a message for Arjuna. This shloka was a message for Arjuna regarding his duties, because we already saw that he got confused as to what is his role on the battlefield. Is he a Shishya or is he a warrior? The second thing, like when we understood the breakdown of Arjuna, we saw that Arjuna wanted to run away from the battlefield and take sannyas. But if you really look at Arjuna's life stage, he was a grihastashram he was in. So it was his duty to fight the war. It was his duty to protect his citizens. So that also, like Arjuna, even though he was in grihastashram, he was trying to perform the functions of sannyas ashram. So this is the message for Arjuna regarding his duties, that do your own duties and refrain from doing other person's duties. So this is like the connotation of dharma as duty. Now we will see like the other aspect of dharma or other connotations, which is dharma as nature. And this second shloka that we discussed, where the first line is same, Bhagavan talks about this second aspect of dharma. Shreyan, okay, we have already chanted. So the second line is Swabhava niyatam karma kurvan napnoti kilbisham. And we saw the meaning that by performing a duty, I'm just reading the meaning of the second line. By performing a duty as dictated by one's own nature, one does not incur sin. What Bhagavan means here is you will be successful and you will not be a failure in your profession if you are doing duties as dictated by one's own true nature. And one word here that stands out is swadharmas, swadharma. And root word for this is coming here, which is swabhava niyatam karma. As I said, like our personality is not only about negative tendencies, there are positive tendencies also. So there are some actions which are driven by this inherent tendencies in our personality. We can call it our nature. So Bhagavan says, if you carry out actions based on your inherent nature, then you will be successful. So what are these like actions that we carry out based on our nature, our swabhava? So these are some of the activities which you are really good at. Like you don't have to be taught these activities, but in the childhood itself, you like certain things. And we also call these as child prodigy. Like some of the examples, like olden days, you can say Lata Mangeshkar, who was very good in singing and she just loved it. Then second example, recent example, maybe you can say, is Vishwanath Anand, who was also good at playing chess from early childhood. And they pursued this profession, you can say, and they excel at it. So Bhagavan is right when he says, when you perform actions based on your natural instincts, you are bound to be successful. And that is also, and that is called Swadharma. The, the actions driven by one's own nature. And when you choose your profession as per your Swadharma, it is formula for success and contentment also. So if we have to live in this world according to our nature, and I'm talking about positive tendencies, then one needs to know like what his Swadharma is. Only if we know what is Swadharma, then we will be able to choose our profession or carry out actions in this world according to our Swadharma. And then we will be successful as well as content. So Bhagavan here says, like this shloka we will talk about. Yeah, we will chant this. This is shloka number 13 from chapter 4, which gives a hint regarding what different types of swadharma are there. So, chaturvarnyam maya srushtam gunakarma vibhagashah तस्य कर्तारमपि मां विद्य कर्तारमव्ययम्. So the meaning is, the fourfold varna has been created by me according to the differentiation of guna and karma. Though I am the creator, know me as non-doer and immutable. So Bhagavan says, I have created four types of people in this world, and these four types have been created based on their inherent tendencies. And Bhagavan says, I am beyond all these four types. So, since Bhagavan says, I have created these four types, let us see what these four types are. And please remember that these are created based on the gunas or the inherent tendencies within that person. Okay, so these are the four types of people. The first one, you can call it as intellectuals. So they are very much interested in acquiring knowledge, and like if you really think about it, like these intellectuals are good at planning or development of strategy. The second type is leaders, who manage the people, who are into management and administration of large number of people or administration of different kinds of functions. The third are businessmen, or the people who are interested in finance and money. And the fourth type that Bhagavan talks about is worker category, like people who may not have any creative or brilliant ideas, but they are physically strong and they are followers. They are very good at executing the instructions. So this fourth category is worker category, which is like main thing is execution and follow the plan. So, four types of people: intellectuals, leaders, businessmen, and worker. And if you look at any organization, like all these four types of people are required. And as Bhagavan says, this is purely based on gunas. We will see what these gunas is, and karma. And karma means actions. So, based on their gunas and action, these four types of personalities are there in this world, and they are not on based on birth. Because what people do is, if some family is consisting of doctors, they try to make the children also the doctors, and that may or may not work, because he may be falling in different category. Okay, so this is purely based on gunas and karmas, the actions. And what are gunas, we will see. And if you really look at it, all these four types of people are required in any society or any organization. And none of these categories is inferior or superior to the other. If you look at an organization, there are people who are involved in planning, deciding the strategy of the organization, preparing a plan as to how to execute this strategy. Then there are people who are into management and administrative functions, who manage a large group of people to and they are actually, it's their responsibility to percolate this plan and a strategy down below the organization. But then we also need money or finance to run any organization. And like your ideas may be brilliant, but finally these ideas need to be commercialized so that company gets money to run it. And who are the people who are good at this finance? They are businessmen and finance, and that is the third category. And finally, you also need people who will actually execute this strategy or the plan on the ground. They report to these leaders, and as I said, they are good followers. So once you give them instructions, they are able to execute it. So this is the fourth category worker, and we know that all these four categories are required. So there is nothing superior or inferior about any of this category. So when we say four types of people, it also indicates four types of swadharma. So there will be some people whose inherent tendency is intellectual, and they are good in planning and strategy and so on. So these also represent four types of swadharma. So now, like, if we have to be successful in this world, we first have to find out to which category do I belong to. But as Bhagavan says, these are best on gunas. So, in order to understand these four types of personality, we will have to understand about the gunas. So, our scriptures say that this world is formed by five elements. And what are these five elements? First one is space. Second is air, third is fire, then water, and fifth one is ether. And the entire world is made up of these five elements. Different objects or different beings in this world have different proportion of these five components. And with these varying proportions, these infinite objects in this world are created. It also says that all these objects and beings of the world are pervaded by three gunas. So, any object or any being in this world is made up of five elements and is pervaded by these three gunas. And what are these three gunas? Like, these three gunas have distinct characteristics. Each one has a distinct characteristic, and the first among them is sattva. And the distinct characteristics of sattva is knowledge. And I have color coded it. So sattva I have indicated with white color. So sattva is the first guna whose distinct characteristic is knowledge. Second is rajas, whose distinct characteristic is activity, and I have color coded it as red. Third is tamas, which is the distinct characteristic of this is lethargy or inertia, and I have used the color code of black. So, if we have to understand these three gunas, we will have to understand the example of a car. Okay, when we have a car, and in order to start the car, we have to use the ignition. We put the key in the ignition this thing and a slot and start the car. So rajas is like ignition. Without rajas, we won't be able to start any activity. So rajas is required to start any activity. The second thing, when the car starts, we put our leg on the accelerator, and when we put the leg on accelerator, car remains in motion. And if you look at sattva, that has also the same function. It sustains any activity. Like sometimes, like we see that we start an activity with an enthusiasm and it just fades away, and that is because there is lack of sattva. So sattva represents the accelerator which keeps the car moving. or our activity moving. And finally, when we want to stop a car, we put our foot on the brake pedal, and that symbolizes tamas. Because any activity, if you have to stop, then tamas has to be there. Like at the end of day, when we go to sleep, we need to stop all our activities, physical as well as mental. And if we are not able to stop the activities, we won't get a good sleep. So it is tamas which puts stop to all our activities at the end of the day. So all three gunas are required. Okay, let's understand like how they operate. Like as I said, this we have already done this. Each guna has a distinct characteristic. Let me repeat: sattva, knowledge; rajas, activity; and tamas, inertia. And these three gunas are prevalent in everything. They pervade everything. They exist in each object and being. But their proportion keeps changing. And I can say it almost changes minute to minute. So sometimes sattva is predominant, sometimes rajas is predominant, and sometimes tamas is predominant. And whichever guna is predominant, our mood or our actions are driven by this predominant of a guna. See, sometimes like we feel very good, we feel refreshed. If we attend a class, we are able to focus, we are able to remember everything, and that is the effect of sattva guna, whose characteristic is knowledge. So when we are in good mood, know that it is sattva guna which is predominant in us. Whereas sometimes we cannot sit idle. We want to do something. We want to get up and go for jogging. We want to do some activity and know that at this point in time, rajas is in predominance because rajas indicates activity. Whereas there are some times for no reason we have feel dull and gloomy. We don't want to do anything. We just want to sit idle without doing anything. We actually want to sleep. So know that at this point in time, it's the tamas which is in predominance because tamas indicates inertia. So these gunas are not like fixed. They keep changing during the day, and based on that, our moods also may change. And like whatever activity we perform, that it will be governed by the predominance of guna at that point in time because gunas keep changing. So at a particular time, whichever guna is prevalent, your activity will be governed by that particular guna. We cannot see the gunas, but we can see their effects, and as I have already explained, they reflect our mood, or rather, I would say the moods reflect what guna is predominant at that point in time. And then there are sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic tendencies also. Like some people in them, most of the time, sattvic guna is predominant, and they are called sattvic people. Whereas there will be some people in whom rajasic guna is predominant, so they are always impatient, they always want to do certain activities. And then there are people with tamasic tendencies also who are like very shy to take up some responsibility. They are always like trying to avoid doing any work. Most of the time they are dull. Even from the way they talk, you can understand like uh, they are dull and they are lethargic. So this is the tamasic tendency people. So this is based on the guna which is predominant most of the time in them. So we have understood these three gunas, and we will also take a look at some additional traits of these gunas. So sattva, the primary trait is knowledge, but it is also followed with purity, compassion, love, equanimity, memory, and faith. Like people who are predominantly sattvic, their memory will be very sharp, they will be loving in nature, they will be compassionate towards other people. The second is rajas. Predominant guna is activity. These are ambitious people, they are always in a hurry. Jealousy, restlessness, anger, greed, these are some of the personality traits of rajas. And then there is tamas, who are quite dull, very slow in understanding. So this is indicated by lethargy, carelessness, laziness, forgetfulness, ignorance, and violence. So these are the three gunas, and we have seen like how they impact our moods, our emotions, and also our actions. And as I said, these gunas are prevalent in every object and every being of this world. So we can take an example of plants like tulsi and lotus are considered to be sattvic. So that's why we worship tulsi. Rajasic, if you can see, like sunflower and pitcher tree are considered as Rajasic. Pitcher tree is something, as you can see, it's something like a balloon, and there are juices inside that balloon, and insects get attracted towards that. And when they get in, the balloon closes, and the insect dies, and the plant lives on the juices of these insects that are trapped inside it. So it is called Rajasic in nature, and so is sunflower. The third is Tamasic. So when we talk about Tamasic plant, it is cactus and the weeds that grow on the ground, they are considered to be Tamasic. When we talk about animals, a cow and a swan are considered to be Sattvic. Crow and monkey are considered to be Rajasic, and you can see like monkey is never quiet. It wants to do something or the other, and same with crow. So they are considered to be of Rajasic type. And the third one is Tamasic, and vulture and buffalo is considered to be Tamasic animals. Then when the food that we eat is also can be classified into three types: sattva, rajas, and tamas. So sattva is fresh fruits and vegetables, milk, and the reason is like the energy that it produces, it's more than what energy is required to digest this food. So that's why they are called sattvic, which gives us lot of energy. Oily and spicy food is considered to be Rajasic, and obviously alcohol and non-vegetarian food is considered to be Tamasic, because on consuming this, we feel lethargic, we just want to lie down, and like the effect on alcohol on us. So this is as far as food is concerned. There is sattvic food, Rajasic food, and Tamasic food. And if you want to increase a particular guna, you need to consume the food of that particular type. But again, like if your inherent tendency of particular guna, like if you are Rajasic, you will love Rajasic food. So if you want to change your if you want to get into a sattvic mood, you will have to eat sattvic food. But then it becomes difficult because of your tendency you like rajasic food, and by alertness and by force we can say we will have to eat sattvic food if you want to get into sattvic mood. So this is about three gunas. So we to just go back, like there are four types of people, and Bhagavan says that I have created them and they are classified based on their gunas. So we have seen what are gunas. Now we will understand like these four types of people and how they are created based on gunas. So as I said, I have used color coding for each of these gunas. So sattva is white, rajas is red, and tamas is black. So the first type of people, intellectual, like they have predominance of sattva guna. I have indicated with 6 petals. So around 60% sattva, 30% rajas, and 10% tamas. And as the primary characteristics of sattva is knowledge, these people, for them, the profession of a teacher or a planner or advisor would be suitable. So these are first type intellectuals who are good at teaching others, who are good in knowledge. They are they are good in planning, strategizing. So this is the first type of people where Sattva is 60%, Rajas is 30%, and Tamas is 10%. Then there are second type of people, leaders, who have predominance of Rajas is them, 60% Rajas, followed by 30% Sattva and only 10% Tamas. And these are the leaders who really work for the welfare of the society. The After predominance of rajas, sattva is the next guna, and sattva is knowledge, compassion, purity. So they are kind of selfless. So they work for the welfare of the people, and they manage the uh, functions of the society, like army. They are policemen. They are administrators of different functions. IAS, Indian Administrative Service, where people are deputed to different roles in administrative positions. So these are leaders. The third is businessmen, where again Rajas is predominant, but the next guna that is predominant is Tamas, which is 30%, and only 10% is Sattva. So they are kind of selfish people, like they also are leaders and get into like these business professions, but it is primarily for their own selfish interest. They want to make money for themselves and their family. So these are traders, merchants, or brokers. And then the final category, worker, where tamas is predominant, 60% tamas, 30% rajas, and only 10% sattva. And as I said, these are followers. They don't get any creative ideas, but if you tell them what to do, they are good at doing it. They are good followers. They are able to execute instructions to the T. And in today's world, we can say that this is the category of laborers, clerk. Then there are software testers who are given a script to test the software, and their job is only to go as per the script and run the system and report all the problems. So these are four types of people, or four types of Swadharma: intellectual, leader, businessman, and worker. And again, like I want to emphasize that society needs all four types. It cannot do if one of the category is missing, and there is nothing superior or inferior about any of this category. It is mainly based on the predominant gunas in you. So if you choose a profession based on these four types, you will be successful. And then there are other subtler ways of knowing your swadharma, knowing your swadharma personality, and that is based on the subject which gives you joy. Like, you have different kinds of subjects in your academics, but then there is some subject which you like very much, and studying that subject gives you joy. So that may give you an indication as to what your swadharma could be. And you like this subject so much that even when in your leisure time you want to pursue this, like when you are sitting idle, you will try to acquire knowledge of this subject, and that is your swadharma. And you would you would enjoy doing work in this world, in this particular field, and you will prefer it even though the remuneration is not very high. So money is not at all a factor in doing work in this particular field. You want to do work of this in this field because you love it. And we have examples like Sachin Tendulkar, who was good at cricket. So from childhood, he was good at cricket, and he was not really interested in the money that was available to cricketers those days. He was just thrilled to be playing in big stadium and with big cricketers. So when you choose a particular field, you have no expectations from that. You just enjoy doing work in that particular field. And like these days, like when we choose a study subject or our curriculum or a profession, we are mainly driven by money, that one can earn from this profession, or the demand for that profession, or glamour. So there is a lot of glamour associated with some profession, and our objective our when we have a choice, the reason we choose this is from all the other factors which are not related to our swadharma. So our swadharma may be different, but based on this criteria of money, demand, and glamour, we may choose a different study curriculum or a profession. And what will happen? Like if some, like take the example of Sachin Tendulkar, he was very good at cricket, so he loved cricket as a profession. But if his parents would have insisted that he become a doctor, then what would happen? The study will be boring. Your mind will not be in studies. So as a result, your performance will be poor, and you would develop a low self-esteem about yourself. And study itself you will find difficult, but somehow if you are able to complete that curriculum, you get into that profession, you will not really enjoy. The profession will be laborious. You will have to put in lot of effort because you are not interested in that. So you may not be successful in that particular profession. But if you choose a profession based on your swadharma, your inherent tendencies, then study will be interesting. You will enjoy your study. You will do well, and you will automatically gain lot of confidence about yourself and about your abilities. And when you get into the profession, you will enjoy the work. You will actually find that it is no more work. It is just a play or recreation. And when you get into a profession which is as per your tendencies, as per your swadharma, you will not only be successful, you will also feel content. You will actually, I can say, live life. And then this is something about Swadharma. It is called Ikigai chart, which Japanese use. So the first one, like what you love, which is there in the yellow circle. So you love some activities, some profession, and if those activities, like on the right side, that what the world needs. So if you love something and that is what the world also needs, that profession will become your mission. Then coming to the next one, what you can get paid for. So the cross section of what the world needs and what you can get paid for is vocation. You may not like it, but because there is a lot of earning potential in that profession, because the world needs it, and if you choose it, it becomes your vocation. And the third category is the intersection of what you are good at and what you can get paid for. So this is something which is as per your swadharma, which you like, and you get paid for it also, then it becomes your profession. But then there is something other than this also, the cross section of what you love and what you are good at. So it matches both. You are good at a particular profession and you are also love it, then it becomes passion. And the cross section of all these four circles, if they meet, that becomes your purpose to live the life. So you will live a most contented, most enjoyable life, and you will also be successful in that particular profession. So this is a statement by Mahatria. I like it very much. It actually reflects this Swadharma philosophy. Find a work that gives you the inner expression, and you will find happiness in it. So if you are doing a work which is as per your Swadharma or your inherent tendencies, you will find happiness in it. Make the world recognize the value you add through your work, and you will find success in it. So if this is the work for which the world also recognizes and willing to pay you, then this work can become, you will become successful in this work, in this endeavor. And if you use your success to serve the world, you will find purpose in it. So, which means like it is not only materialistic success, your attitude itself is of karma yoga, where while performing this while working in this endeavor, working in this field, you also have an attitude of serving the people, then you will find purpose in it. And when your work gives you happiness, success, as well as purpose, you will find God in it. So this is by Mahatriya, and this is about Swadharma. Like if you find your Swadharma and you work as per Swadharma, you will be successful in this world, as well as you will find fulfillment and joy while working in that profession. So with this, we have come to the end of this session. Yeah. Any questions? Any comments? Okay. If there are no questions, no comments, we can conclude the session. Thank you very much. Yeah. Let me end the session.